What's up, everybody? GeauxBurns flying high above Los Santos and Blaine County to give you my review of Grand Theft Auto Online Smuggler's Run, now available in Grand Theft Auto Online via Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. So with all my reviews, we go over the pros, the cons, then of course I give you my verdict, and you're welcome to chime in below in the comment section regarding your views, your opinions, your thoughts for Smuggler's Run. What did you like and what did you not like about this latest update to Grand Theft Auto Online? All right, let's get started with the pros, and we're going to begin with the aircraft. We got 7 brand new customizable aircraft, which include the Nagasaki Havoc, that one-seater helicopter, the Nagasaki Ultralight, the Alpha Z1 stunt plane, the Tula 4-engine amphibious aircraft that's also a VTOL, the V65 Molotov, aka a MiG/Sabre from the Korean War era, the Rogue 2-engine warplane, and of course the LF-22 Starling rocket jet/glider. And to go with these 7 customizable aircraft, you need a hangar. And we have 5 hangars that you can purchase. Well, 1 of 5 around the map. You got 2 down in LSIA, and then you have 3 up at Fort Zancudo. Now, the really cool thing about purchasing one of the 3 at Fort Zancudo, even though they're more expensive than the 2 down LSIA, is when you purchase one of those 3 at Fort Z, you gain low-level access to Fort Zancudo, meaning that you can actually go into the military base without getting 4 stars and troops shooting at you and tanks trying to blast you to bits. As long as you don't try to cause any trouble or like steal a tank or a laser jet, you should be fine. So anyways, I think that is really cool. And the hangars are customizable. There's a bit of choices and modifications you can get, like a hangar style, lighting, floor graphics, office furniture, as well as the living quarters, which you need in order to be able to spawn inside your hangar. And of course the hangar workshop, which allows you to customize the 7 aircraft that came out with Smuggler's Run. And the cool thing about these 7 aircraft is, as I mentioned, you can customize them. You can upgrade them with various options and liveries and weapons. And you can have up to 20 aircraft inside your hangar. You can have, I think, 10 on the floor, and then you can have, I think, 10 in storage as well. So that's really awesome. Now what's really cool is, along with these 7 customizable new aircraft, we also get a complimentary Cuban with the hangar, and you have the ability to take any of your Pegasus aircraft into the hangar and respray them and store them in the hangar, and they become kind of a personal aircraft for you, along with the other aircraft that you can purchase for the hangar. Like, for example, your Buzzard attack helicopter, Savage attack helicopter, the Valkyrie, as well as the Hydra, and a few other aircraft as well. You can take them over to your hangar and put them inside, and you can even respray them. So you can take them into the aircraft workshop and put whatever color you want on said aircraft. And through your interaction menu, when you're out and about, you can actually get one of the aircraft to spawn nearby. So you don't have to always go back to the hangar in order to get one of your aircraft that's stored at the hangar. Whether it's a plane, a jet, or a helicopter, they will spawn somewhere nearby. Even though sometimes it does kind of feel like Pegasus, because they'll spawn somewhere like not as close as you would like it to be. But still, it's really cool to have the ability to, if you want to pull up your, for example, your Rogue, like warplane, or any other aircraft you happen to have in the hangar, you can do so through the interaction menu. The next pro is, of course, tons of new clothing, and I think there's over 500 items according to Rockstar, which include like flight suits, outfits, military themed obviously, along with hats, helmets, masks, and over 30 tattoos. Definitely a pro, because that's a lot of content, a lot of options for customizing your characters in Grand Theft Auto Online. Another pro goes back to the new aircraft in the game. So along with the ability to upgrade them with different engine handling, liveries, color schemes, as well as weapons. We also have countermeasures for these new aircraft, flares, and other items as well, which can help protect you from anyone coming after you or trying to take you out with a homing missile. You could just put flares on your new aircraft, and it will help give you a much better chance of surviving taking a rocket, straight to your face. That's definitely a pro, in my opinion, having countermeasures on these new aircraft. Next, no research for the aircraft. So that is awesome. You can go into the aircraft workshop once you buy the hangar, once you buy the aircraft you want, and once you have the aircraft workshop, you don't have to research anything through the MOC or the bunker. You can just, get that gun you want. You can get that livery your heart desires. You can get the countermeasures you prefer without having to wait for research to take a bazillion years to get it done. So no research is definitely a pro in my book. And for those of you that aren't really into aircraft, there's all that content I just mentioned for your characters, plus 2 new cars. We got a new supercar, and we got a new sports classic. First off, the Gradi Vision. It's a decent supercar. I mean, it looks pretty good, but I wouldn't say it's the best supercar. It's kind of expensive though. And then of course you have the Rapid Retino, and it has a cool retro vibe for a sports classic. It's very fun to drive around, especially going off-roading and rallying and stuff. So we got 2 new cars. That's definitely a pro. Plus a pretty decent new adversary mode, Motor Wars, which allows you to play between 4 to 28 players. 2 to 4 teams parachute into a war zone, and the streets are littered with like weapons and as well as weaponized vehicles, like for example the weaponized Tampa, the technical, as well as the insurgent pickup, half track. Let's see, the Night Shark, along with an AA trailer as well. It's very similar to PUBG. It's like a very fast-paced PUBG. And you jump out of cargo bobs with your team. It's LTS, meaning if you die, it's over. The last team or player left standing wins the chicken dinner, so to speak. So it's very similar to Battlegrounds in that regard. But you also have, along with the weapons, you also have weaponized vehicles. But one small downside is I really wish that other players did not appear on the little mini-map or the main map. I wish that was something that Rockstar would have done as well, is made it a lot more tense. Not having, the fact that you could just look at the minimap and say, okay, well, there's the green team, there's the orange team, there's the purple team. It would just be more intense and it would feel more like PUBG if that small thing was not an issue when it came to the little blips on the minimap. But overall, I really enjoyed playing Motor Wars, the latest adversary mode in Grand Theft Auto Online. The next pro is, of course, we got a brand new event week, #Smugglers Event Week. I went over that yesterday. There's a new Snapmatic contest. There's a sweepstakes going on. There's a few discounts as well. All that running through, I believe, let's see, Monday, September 4th. So it's always good to have a new event week, which gives you opportunity for discounts and giveaways and, participating in various events going on in Grand Theft Auto Online. And here's a pro that I really like because I'm one of the few that actually loves the Savage attack helicopter. It gets ripped on so much by players that have no idea how to properly use that beautiful Russian broad. But the Savage, thanks to the recent update, can now withstand more hits, more explosives. So that's definitely a pro in my opinion when it comes to the Savage, because I think as a military aircraft, big and bulky, it should be able to take a bit more damage than it used to. So I'm glad that they buffed it just a little bit. Next is our new aircraft mechanic, Charlie. And I mentioned this as a pro because some of our previous quote-unquote helpers have been very freaking annoying. Like what LJT, or the mechanic at the motorcycle club, or the MOC mechanic. Yeah, those guys can get on my nerves real quick. It's a breath of fresh air that we have Charlie because he's very laid back, former military, aircraft expert, compared to some of the other previous quote-unquote helpers that we've been introduced to in other updates. So I just thought I would mention that. Next, of course, is multiple new MC and CEO clothing styles. That is a pro. It's always nice when Rockstar goes back to stuff that's already in the game and adds a little something, a little extra along the way. So you got some new clothing styles for the MCs as well as the CEO. And the final pro I would like to mention, as always, all the various fixes, bugs, patches that came with this update, Grand Theft Auto Online Smugglers Run. And if you wish to look over the patch notes yourself, it's linked below in the description section. And I mention this because a lot of times, that goes unsaid, unrewarded, because there are always issues that happen in the game, and not all those problems get resolved, but, a good chunk of them do. And you grow to appreciate it when it actually makes the game a little bit better than worse, as opposed to patches from other games that I play. Friday the 13th? Yeah, so it's always nice to see that some patches actually make the game better and a little bit more playable and stable than patches that make the game less playable and stable and cause more problems. That's right, I'm looking at you, Friday the 13th. Anyways, those are the pros. Time to move on to the cons regarding Grand Theft Auto Online Smugglers Run. And yes, as always, there are a few cons. First off, the new aircraft are expensive as you know. Very pricey. So before you can get the 7 customizable aircraft, which are expensive, once again, you have to first buy the hangar, which can range between $1 million and $7 if you buy one of the ones down in LSIA, or you choose to buy one at Fort Zancudo, which I personally would recommend because you do get that low-level access. I think it's only for those 3 at Fort Z. I don't know because I don't own one down in LSIA, only the one up in Fort Z. So, yeah, it's expensive. It can go from like $1 to $3 million just to buy the hangar, plus all that customization. A lot of it you really don't need, but if you want to spawn in the hangar, you have to have the living quarters, which cost a few $100,000. And then, of course, the aircraft workshop, which is really necessary, costs another $1 million. I mean, I like Charlie, but I don't like Charlie that much. But, at the same time, I really wish that, the aircraft workshop fee wasn't as high as it is. Now, back to the aircraft. They are extremely expensive because they have a base price and they have a discounted price. Now, I would recommend, if you're not in a rush, to go and start the business. And that's another thing I forgot to mention, is the fact that there are this business that comes with the hangar, the ability to go out and source and sell products. So that's a cool thing. I should have mentioned that as a pro. I'm mentioning it now, so that's a pro. Move it over to the pro, because it's always good to have new stuff to do in Grand Theft Auto Online and new potential ways of making money. So yeah, we have this ability. So after you source enough content, enough items that are scattered throughout the map, then you slowly but surely start unlocking discounts on various vehicles. So I would continue to source and continue to sell until you get the discount prices for the aircraft that your heart desires. And I definitely wouldn't buy all the aircraft because some aren't really that good. It really depends on your opinion. Now mine is, I like the Rogue as well as the Molotov. The others I'm not really feeling, to be honest. I hear good things about the Ultralight. I didn't get the Ultralight because I ran out of money. I'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, so there's some that I would stay away from, like the Alpha Z1, the Havoc. I didn't really care for either one of those aircrafts. There's a lot you could do with the Tula, but it's also extremely pricey as well. And another issue is whenever one of your aircraft is destroyed, if you destroy it, it's going to cost you $1,000 at Moore's Mutual. Now, that may not seem like much, but it's so easy to destroy one of your aircrafts, especially if you get like the Havoc or the Alpha and it gets destroyed, like the Starling, which is very difficult to land, by the way. Yeah, it can cost you $1,000 a time, and over time, that can add up. So here's an issue that someone mentioned: the fact that all the content, if you were to go out and buy all the content, and I say don't buy all the content, just buy what you want, not everything. Don't buy all the clothing, just buy what clothing you like, and buy the mask you like, and buy the helmet or helmets you like. I would not buy everything. I would definitely not buy all the aircraft. So the price tag for everything total is estimated at about $80 million. So that is a lot of money. Let's just take 10 Megalodon shark cards, which each one is $8 million. And in reality, that's $100 US per shark card, which means that it could cost you $1,000 in Megalodon shark cards just to buy everything. Just bear that in mind as a big giant con. Next, another con is Nervous Ron. He is his usual annoying self. I mean, he's tolerable, but at the same time, I have never been a fan of Ron. But I think most people feel that way as well. But you just gotta have to tolerate him when it comes to the hangar as well as the air freight business that you do with him, the sourcing and the selling. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Sometimes it can get annoying. But of course, the next con revolves around source and sell missions. Even though I do think that it's a pro to have in the game, I think it's a great way, as I mentioned, to go out and do stuff. Whether solo or whether with friends. I would recommend with friends. A lot easier to do it that way, and potentially make some money over time. The issue is the missions themselves have occasion to be rather difficult, especially if you're going it alone like I do. So, like I said, I would advise you at least getting one or two of your friends to help you sourcing and selling with those missions. Now, some of them, unfortunately, they give you a situation which might seem almost impossible. Like, for example, trying to escort a Titan that's being attacked by helicopters with a mogul like light bomber. Now, it wouldn't be a big deal if you had somebody up in the gunner seat, but if you're having to do it alone, I would recommend going into your hangar and grabbing another aircraft instead of using the moguls. You just have to be mindful of the aircraft that you get to use during some of these source missions, and I think they're all optional. So, for example, like these stunt missions, when you have to go do stunts for some teen girl in order to find the location of some cargo, you don't have to use the Howard stunt plane. You could just grab your buzzard attack helicopter, whether you have one by Pegasus or in your hangar or through the CEO option. Just grab that and go fly under bridges. That's how I do it. It's way easier than having to deal with the freaking Howard stunt plane, believe me. So there are some workarounds for accomplishing these source missions. And sometimes it's very difficult to do, like I mentioned with the Mogul 2-engine light bomber. It's just hard to go up there and protect the Titan against two attacking aircraft when you're doing it alone. So I would recommend getting another one of your aircraft to get that job done. The sell missions, though, I mean, they're touch and go. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it sucks. Once again, especially if you're going it alone and you're just trying to sell, say like $20,000 just to make some room in your little warehouse inside the hangar. Yeah, because during one sell mission, I once again was given the mogul, and I was doing it alone, and I had cops all over me. I had police helicopters, and I had enemy NPC helicopters shooting at me. And yes, the mogul does have guns you can use, front guns, but with no one up in the main gun to shoot back at the pursuing helicopters, eventually one of your engines go out, and then the other engine goes out, and basically you're gliding to your doom. And you end up, if you're lucky, maybe getting half of that money, depending on how many drop-offs you got. I managed to get like $10,000 worth of drop-offs, but I lost half of my cargo that I was trying to sell. So once again, you have to be mindful when it comes to sourcing and selling. Some of them are more difficult than others, but there's always ways to get around some of them, especially if you have aircraft at your disposal via the hangar. And the sales are definitely a lot easier if you have some help. The other con, of course, is, as usual, all this has to be done in a public lobby. Why, Rockstar? Why? Furthermore, from what I heard the other day, it is encouraged for other players to come after you and either destroy your cargo or steal your cargo. It increases the value of their stuff. So that is total BS in my opinion. It's bad enough that we have to go into a public lobby and hope that you end up in a small enough public lobby where everyone's chill, doing their own thing, not messing with each other. But to give people extra incentive to go ruin somebody's day, who's just working hard, trying to go get those narcotics or go get those gems or medical or chemicals. And you go through all this trouble, you finally get the cargo, and then somebody comes by, kills you, takes your stuff, and flies off back to their hangar. Total BS in my opinion. I do not like that feature being rewarded in the game. I realize it's a variable. It's something that you have to deal with, unfortunately, by being in a public lobby. By the way, we have no choice but to be in a public lobby in order to do the source and selling, just like with various others like the bunkers, import-export, the list goes on and on. I don't know why Rockstar does it. I'm guessing they do it because, it makes it more difficult for us to, grind and, make money so we don't have to buy shark cards. That's the only logical excuse and reasoning I can come up with for why we can't simply do the sourcing and selling in an invite-only session or a friend lobby. The next pro is, of course, the 20 aircraft limit for hangars. Now, this goes back to, I guess you could say, the garage limits, because, every time Rockstar comes out with a new update, that kind of makes it more difficult, to find room in your garage, especially if you buy a lot of cars. But only having 20 aircraft for one hangar, so you can only have one hangar as of right now, makes it kind of difficult because, as I said, 7 new aircraft came out with this update. And then there's like a whole bunch of Pegasus aircraft that you may or may not own. So depending on whether or not you bought all 7 of those aircraft, depending on how many Pegasus aircraft you have and which Pegasus aircraft you want to put inside your hangar and, respray them so that they look more customized, and compiled with the fact that we have 8 more aircraft that will be drip fed, that means that easily over the 20 aircraft limit. So you can run out of room real quick in your hangar. So be mindful about that. If you own a hangar, realize that you can only have up to 20 aircraft in there at a time. So FYI. Speaking of drip feeding, we have reached the next con on my list, the drip fed apocalypse. So yes, we know that there are now 11, count them, 11 vehicles that are going to be drip fed. So put this in context. We had 9 vehicles that came out with Smuggler's Run, 7 aircraft, 2 cars. That means that there's more vehicles locked than currently unlocked. The cool thing is, a lot of the aircraft you can actually fly and play around with during the source and sell missions, so you at least get to check them out, like the Hunter, like the Howard, and a few others as well that we're going to go over right now, because maybe, just maybe, you're not really feeling one of the 7 new aircraft and you were kind of hoping for the Hunter or, the Nakota World War II single-engine fighter plane like I was, a.k.a. the Rustler, a.k.a. the P-51D Mustang, or the Spitfire. I see a little bit of both in this warplane. So let's go over this list, shall we? A list that was compiled by others. We're spreading the word, kind of like Paul Revere, The drip-fed vehicles are coming. And I think these are the correct price tags for each vehicle. So first off, we have the Sea Breeze, which is a very weird single-engine plane, and it's amphibious, and you have the ability to drop bombs with the Sea Breeze. It's going to be $1.1 million. By the way, we have no idea when these vehicles are going to be drip-fed, except for maybe one. I know people have a list of vehicles that they think that's going to how that's going to be dripped out, but the truth is Rockstar could change and rearrange that list, so I'm not even going to go into that angle when it comes to when these vehicles may or may not come out. So the Sea Breeze, $1.1 million. We have the Howard Stunt Plane at $1.3 million. The Cyclone Supercar, which is by Coil, which is, I guess, the Tesla company in Grand Theft Auto. So we got this car. It's a supercar for $1.9 million. And we have, I think, another sports classic, the Rapid GT Classic, which, by the way, that thing looks really sexy. $900,000 for that car. And then, of course, the big giant bomber slash gunship. It's like a Russian plane. The Bambuska is $5.9 million. The 2-engine light bomber Mogul that I love so much, as I've mentioned already, is $3.1 million. The Pyrojet, which actually is a lot of fun. I have gotten access to the Pyrojet in a few of the source missions. I've enjoyed it. I've liked it so far. $4.4 million for the Pyrojet. Then on Halloween, which is actually a Tuesday, by the way, we're getting a Batmobile type vehicle. It looks very similar to Batman, the Tim Burton Batman film, and of course Batman Returns, the sequel to Batman, along with the Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. So it's like those two Batmobiles, they got together and they had this thing, the Vigilante, which looks really awesome. It's going to have a rocket on it. It's going to, I think, have machine guns and missiles. And I think it's going to be able to, knock crap out of the way. It looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's going to be $3.7 million. And once again, I believe this is going to be the Halloween car. And, of course, another vehicle is the one that I'm really excited for. I really wish we would have got it because it was featured in a trailer. The P-45 Nakota. World War II warplane based off of mostly P-51 Mustang and perhaps a little bit on the Spitfire as well. $2.6 million for the Nakota. And then, of course, the Hunter attack helicopter. Also, you can use during a source mission when they randomly put that in as a source mission option. The Hunter attack helicopter, $4.1 million. Now, here's the kicker. The good news is it looks like we are getting the laser finally. The bad news is it's going to be $6.5 million for the friggin' laser. And the irony is, if you have a hangar at Fort Zancudo, there's lasers that spawn not too far away. So you could simply just run over to a laser, steal it, risk the 2-star wanted level, which is better than a 4-star wanted level, thanks to that low-level access, and just fly off with it and fly around the map, doing whatever you want to do with it till you get blown to bits. So I'm hoping that the laser that's going to be finally purchasable and obviously customizable in the hangar has a shit ton of options that make it worth the $6.5 million price tag. I mean, personally, I love that fighter jet, but at the same time, the Hydra is a veto and it's like $3 million. So I'm kind of on the fence about the price tag with the laser. But then again, bear this in mind. We do have the Luxor Deluxe, a golden airplane listed for $10 million. So kind of have to put that in perspective, right? So hopefully the laser will be well worth the $6.5 million. Anyways, yeah, it does suck that we have these drip-fed vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. I understand why Rockstar does it. It's to continue interest in their game, and B, it puts the spotlight on these vehicles, and some of them may not get the spotlight if they came out the same day as the day one vehicles. I did rant about this a few weeks ago in my drip fed rant video, in case you're wondering. And also another factor I learned about is the reality that it does cost these developers and publishers money to put an update out. I think it's like 5 figures. It's like, what, 50-something thousand dollars of real money just to be able to put this update out on Xbox One, PS4. I don't know if it costs anything for Steam, but they're not putting it out for free. I mean, Microsoft and Sony, are each putting their hand out and saying, okay, give us money. So, but they're making way more money in return, via Shark Card. So obviously they're getting their money back. So yes, for the next, I would say 11 weeks, we're going to have weekly drip-fed vehicles if they decide to go this route. So this is the way I'm looking at it. From like September 5th, which is this coming Tuesday, through November 14th, that's when we're going to see these vehicles drip-fed out. If they do it on a weekly basis, like every Tuesday over the next 11 weeks. So that's what we have to look forward to. And perhaps even a few other surprises as well. As mentioned in various articles, we are getting a new race option that's coming sooner rather than later, perhaps more adversary modes, and maybe even some other Halloween surprises, along with the Vigilante Batmobile. Hopefully we'll get some other cool stuff for Halloween. That's coming down the road. So a con, definitely, with all this drip-fed nonsense, especially when it comes to vehicles that we really, really want and desire, like the Hunter attack helicopter, or in my case, the P-45 Nakota. But we're just going to have to wait, unfortunately. It sucks, but it is what it is. All right, so there you go, my pros, my cons, and time now for my verdict regarding Grand Theft Auto Online's Smuggler's Run. If you're a fan of aviation and you love aircraft, Smuggler's Run is the update for you. As I mentioned, we have 7 new customizable aircraft, 5 hangars to choose from, as well as the ability to take any of your Pegasus vehicles and put them into your hangar. So that does not suck, especially if you've always been wanting your own quote-unquote hangar for those particular aircraft. Even if you're not into flying, even if you don't like planes, jets, helicopters, that isn't your thing, there's still a ton of new content with this update, like the new clothing, the outfits, hats, helmets, masks, all the awesome tattoos as well. All that just for you. Plus, we got 2 new cars, courtesy of the update on Tuesday. But Smuggler's Run is perhaps the most expensive update yet. As I mentioned, it could cost around $80 million in the game just to buy all the content. If you were crazy enough to do such a thing, I would advise against it, by the way. As I mentioned, that's equal to 10 Megalodon shark cards, which equals $1,000 in American dollars. That's just insane for a game that sold for $60, which technically came for free with Grand Theft Auto 5 Story. So yeah, Rockstar and Take-Two have definitely gotten beyond their money back from whatever they put into the development and creation of Grand Theft Auto 5 as well as Grand Theft Auto Online. I mean, that's just nuts. In conclusion, I advise you to buy only the items that you really, really want. Don't buy all the aircraft because some of them suck. Don't buy all the clothing. Don't buy all the masks. Just buy what you really want. Do you really need all the flight suits? Do you really need all the masks? The answer is no, you don't. And I would say, if you're going to buy an aircraft, do the sell source missions with Ron and, get the discount. Save yourself as much money as you can. So if you really want the Rogue, do the sell sourcing until you're able to get a cheaper price for the Rogue, or for the Molotov, or for the Ultra Glide, even though that's the cheapest of the aircraft. Save yourself some money and at the same time just go focus on sourcing and selling, which also allows you the opportunity to use a lot of the aircraft that has come with the Smuggler's update, including the Day 1 aircraft along with the currently locked and future drip-fed vehicles as well, as I mentioned, like the Hunter, the Seabreeze, the Mogul, and a few others as well. So take it from me, be very, very careful about what you decide to buy or not buy with Smuggler's Run. So obviously, this update will cost you a lot of money, whether you buy a few of the items or all the items. If you have that kind of money, more power to you. Just be mindful of that because Smuggler's Run can easily fly off with your Maze bank account and perhaps even your real bank account as well.